if you don't ban out Maiev, then you can, for example, ban something else on the first spot, and then your opponent has to ban either Abathur or Maiev, and you get the other one. So that might be one of the things that Zealots are considering right now. But there's still a high chance that Abathur is banned early on.
Ooh.
They're so mad at him. You lost us a game. Banned. Instantly.
ADRD, your Abathur is in the doghouse.
So I would still expect Maiev to be banned out now.
But it leaves open Mouth Tracer.
Yeah.
I am worried about the Maiev. I don't even know if... Okay.
And Blaze.
Yeah, Blaze is available, Malfurion's available, and I think Malfurion has had such high priority. Tyrael, okay, so here's how Tyrael's worked in HGC through the first 5 weeks. Is Tyrael set at about 31% win rate as first pick, Genji is 30%. The high prioritization on Tyrael is something that Kaldor was talking about just previously about how abysmal his win rate is here at the Clash. And the high priority for Tyrael is a bit surprising to me.
Now, here's one of the things. We talk about win rates, and I think it's really important to go into the stats. And as you said, I pointed out that Tyrael at this point is just sitting at a 37% win rate, which is very low considering the high priority. But I feel the one thing where we have to put a bit of context for it is, normally he's picked in very execution-heavy compositions, where you have setups where Tyrael is played together with Greymane, where he's played with heroes that provide synergy, but you as a team have to be absolutely on point to execute that draft. So I feel that's one of the reasons, because teams seem to maybe overestimate their ability a little bit to get these combos through, and especially with opponents getting much, much better at interrupting Sanctification in particular.
Yeah.
I feel that makes it very difficult for the Tyrael draft to get that potential, but if they do, then it usually looks very deadly.
It's so timing based. There's a difference between being unbeatable and of course losing a team fight. We saw it earlier with Fnatic, but Zealots grabbing Tyrael, Greymane, and a Blaze on the other side. Team 12 pulling out Tracer themselves in the Malfurion combo. Been a while since we've seen that duo.
No hesitation on the Blaze, and who could blame him? I mean, Greymane fits in well to get those auto attacks in against Tracer. Blaze can just kind of put that bunker down, so you have multiple forms of protection, whether it's the Sanctification, whether it's the bunker. Tracer's opportunities to get on that backline are limited. You also now open the door for a potential Uther to come in the backside. Obviously, we've seen a lot of Stukov, but Uther against Tracer can also mitigate a lot of damage as well as get some lockdown. So a very heavy defensive style for Zealots in their first 3 picks.
You point out the great team fight, but you can't forget about boss control. Always important on Curse Talo, double the boss, Tyrael and Blaze, both great around that area, getting some protection of the bunker you mentioned, and of course Tyrael to Sanctification.
The one thing that really worries me is that we have seen this exact style a couple of times now through the Western Clash, and it always looks extremely strong on paper. You look at the setup and you see a synergy. You see a lot of safety for Greymane so that he can dish the damage out, and everything just leans toward, okay, this is a fantastic draft, and they're going to be super aggressive with it, and they're going to crush their opponent. And nearly every time we've seen it, it failed. And that's the one thing where I really struggle to understand, okay, is it just because players are getting so good at interrupting the Sanctification that they learn to really play around the Greymane Tyrael combo and Blaze? But this is really a comp that looks absolutely fantastic, but very few teams have been able to synchronize it and play it so well that they actually get a victory with it.
I think one thing that looks good here for Team 12 is a Dahaka pick. It gives them the global on this battleground. You already know the Warriors locked in between Tyrael and Blaze. I think that does give them some control, especially with the ETC being banned out, Blaze being taken away from Goku. I'd be surprised if they don't go down that route, but in terms of that second damage dealer, I really wonder what that's going to be in that last slot. Obviously, they're going to come in here. I think that if this ends up being maybe an Uther, we might see the Lunara on that backside, but Arthas and Dahaka, I think, are definitely really strong here for Team 12 on that front line.
It's also a draft that's very reminiscent of what Team 12 played the first time they were in Cursed Hollow. They had also the setup with Tracer, with Malfurion, and they had they had the tank front line here as well. So they played a little bit differently and just substituted a few of the heroes. Arthas and Tracer are still the same. Abathur got banned out against them, but the core concept is still very similar. But now we have Zealots actually heading into Medivh, and this is really where I'm leaning a little bit more towards them now, because this helps Greymane even more to stay safe. It mitigates a lot of the damage that Tracer can push out. It allows you for setups. So this is one of the picks that I really enjoy seeing right now.
And Zealots have perfected the idea of if a team fight ever unfolds and we start to have separation between teammates, portal and jump on the target, have Blaze go in, force to fight, and ooh, they're even at Karazim. A little bit more damage so they can find that one target they want and delete them.
I think that helps that Lunara, if that was considered here, it doesn't look as good. So sustained damage, I think you've got to have something here because Medivh is going to mitigate all of that pulse bomb damage. And without having that sustained style, there's got to be something else to that element. And so Tracer, to me, is definitely not going to be enough. That's a very heavy front line with Dahaka Arthas. But against the Medivh style and a Kharazim, Medivh takes care of the burst damage. Kharazim has great AoE heals. And for this composition, they're going to be grouped up quite a bit.
Cassia would be really bad here. Helpful against Kharazim, help against Greymane. Sure, Medivh brings in a little bit of that damage on the spell power, but...
Really good point. I don't know how much Cassia in A and Team 12 plays right out of the top of my head, but Cassia from a European perspective would definitely be a great pick here.
It's a little bit. Every once in a while.
I feel like this is a moment that if you're going to pull it out, you do it here.
Li Ming.
You have some troubles chasing.
Yeah.
That's what Tracer forward. Ooh, okay. Falstad. Instead, I'm a little worried with the Falstad. If you have any threat of Falstad being caught out or being caught in any way, shape, or form, and portals give you that threat, he becomes scary to play, but he also does give you that disengage, so it's more of a trade-off, but you're trading Mighty Gust maybe for a portal.
I asked for sustain, I said Li Ming, but that's only because I've seen Dansky do so much, and you can only shield so much. Falstad does fall into that sustain style, but his sustain is not that high. He doesn't really put out that much. Giant Killer, I think, will be good against this heavy front line, but in terms of what he's actually going to bring to a team fight is going to be little. The fact that they're running double global seems like they're going to try a few shenanigans the same way we saw them on Cursed Hollow before to manipulate the rotations, take advantage of the fact that there are no globals on the side of Zealots, and maybe try and play a little bit more away from the team fight.
I checked out Cassia for North America, by the way, and we had only 7 games in the season with her, and 4 of those were lost, and Team 12 didn't play her a single time. So I think from a European perspective, European meta, she would have fit here quite well. And as Gerhard already alluded to, the advantages of Falstad, they want to play with that. It's going to be rough, I think, though, because especially around Kharazim and Greymane, Falstad can really be chased here. And it gives you also some boss control, but I have to say that I like what the Zealots have. They take, at the beginning, something that we've seen already, but they put Medivh into play with it, and also Kharazim to be even more aggressive, chase Tracer down. I like that draft a lot.
Jayhan, predictions?
Man, I mean, this gets tough in this series, I think, just because the drafts have been so unique for both teams.
Yeah.
I am going to go with Team 12 here. I think that the global control will be in their favor, and I think it's something that they can try and manipulate, as we saw in their previous series yesterday.
They played split pushing pretty well the other day against Method, but I think I'm in the same book here with Caldor. I think I'm going with Zealots. They have something that we've seen in the past. They can force fights, and if they get those fights they want, they can be pretty deadly.
Teams that scrimmed against Team 12 have said that they really like the way that they macro, that they feel they improved a lot on the macro game, and that's the only card, in my opinion, that they really hold here. But I feel the draft in itself is a little bit inconsistent, and I like what Zealots have. I don't see Team 12 getting the kills here, and around Medivh, like, how do you kill anything on the side of the Zealots? If they force fights, they should win the fights. The question is just, can they force them?
Yeah, that's the exact question I have, is how do you possibly get a pulse bomb through with everything that Zealots have? So I have to put my vote in the Zealots basket too, and we'll see now what chat wants, or what they're thinking. As they've been able to see this draft, they've been able to see the tie-up of the series, but still in Zealots camp as well. Let's check in now, the casting desk, and Dreadnought and Vandy for Game 3 between Zealots and Team 12.
Once again, the Falstad is picked up here at the Western Clash, and as you could see, you know, our analyst desk, they were, you know, a bit torn up on the pick. I feel the same way I did in the earlier series when we saw it, and I got to hear your thoughts, you know, about the Falstad.
I'm also very, very confused. I mean, we saw Fan playing it earlier. Although he played it well, it just didn't have the impact that we'd like to see, and I feel like that's the problem with Falstad that we're seeing at the moment.
But for now, in the blue is going to be Team 12. We had Goku on Dahaka, Kier playing the Tracer, Arthas played by Justin, Malfurion is played by Buds, and Falstad is going to be played by Dansky.
And once again in the red, we have Team Zealots with Shad on Kharazim, Mopsio on Tyrael, Chris playing Greymane, Zamani on Blaze, and ADRD playing Medivh.
The double global and the Falstad pickup. One of the things that, you know, when you and I were sitting back here kind of talking about the draft, what that last pick on the side of Team 12 could have been, what maybe those options would have been, there was a lot of focus, at least from my perspective, towards the boss control. And I really like the fact that Dansky on the Falstad, he'll have a lot of that, or at least the opportunity to have that over a dominant boss control hero like the Tyrael that Mopsio's on. Hold up here, a bit of a skirmish. Nice Howling Blast, actually catching Chris out of position, but a nice disengage and portal there from Friends, and Zealots are going to be able to make it out.
The portal's like, now you see me, now you don't, and that can be, I guess, the power of Medivh, also accessing giving access to that backline in the team fights. That's something we'll be watching and looking for. I like the very confident call, though, coming out from Zealots. Almost, though, punished by Team 12 with that very fast rotation. If they got that tower, though, and got away with it, that would have really helped, give them that little bit of early experience boost. Unfortunately, not yet to be.
It's one of those things that not only can help him with those kind of awkward timings on some of the tributes on a map like Cursed Hollow. The first one is pretty easy to get the predictability, but then past that point, the timing is one of those moments around your experience that you can miss out on. And so getting those small turrets and getting pretty much just any front wall damage on Cursed Hollow will set you apart in that experience and allow you to kind of manipulate the map. And that's why you see the emphasis here towards the top lane. Zealots is very consistently put that pressure out. And so we're going to be looking where will Team 12 with that double global put up that pressure, because you absolutely, when you pick globals, are looking to get that kind of advantage.
I do also like, with the Medivh, not being scared to utilize the scouting out Deansky. He's getting so low, and just like that, ADRD picks up the kill.
And when we've been talking about the skepticism towards the health pool of Falstad, I think that's a prime example. A 50% HP Falstad can actually almost get soloed by the Kharazim. Just one nice arcane rift coming out from ADRD, and it locks in the first blood for Zealots. Now they have the Giants pressuring towards bottom. This is something that they're going to be able to group and defend. And another moment where we see Zealots getting the advantage through the experience of the pressure, and they're winning in kill potential. Generally speaking, that is not something that you do. You either win in one or the other. And the fact that Team 12 is playing so overly reactive, it makes me skeptical for the rest of even this game already, because this is a level lead on Cursed Hollow pre-10.
Yeah, and we don't even have the first tribute yet. That pulse bomb, it's looking pretty good on Domini. He refuses to die, though, stands his ground. Finally now, he falls.
Justing hits the Howling Blast. Chris is going to go into Greymane or Worgen for him, but I don't think he's going to get the disengage in time. Goku lands that drag, gets the kill.
Your timing on that drag was sensational. Just as he was trying to disengage with Darklight, bam, there comes out the tongue, and he's saying, no, come back here.
It's a bit of a fishing reel, just pull it right back in. Doesn't matter if jump out the boat. Nope. Goku's going to bring you back together here. And it couldn't have been timed better. This is very interesting how both teams are so good at getting those kills right as the objective's going to spawn. Provides a lot of time advantage in this rotation, and that is allowing essentially a free tribute pickup here for Team 12. Not going to cost Zealots too much. The map objective, you need 3 before you get it. There is no partial. You either have the curse or you in fact don't. And so it's really going to be what we see Zealots do with these rotations, and more importantly, if we see any kind of, cheeky boss plays. It's very common to see that on a map like Cursed.
It is. I mean, you always need to respect that boss and anticipate it, because especially once you've got 2 tributes to your name, that's when the boss can get a lot done. A lot of teams we see, they prioritize making sure that they can get that boss when their 3rd tribute, when it's Cursed, to get the maximum push out of it.
Another thing to keep in mind here is that Zealots, and normally with Medivh compositions, it's not that you don't want to fight pre-7, it's that generally that you don't see that big of an advantage because your hero's not getting that much better, not getting that much stronger, but now that they ended up hitting the 7 talents here, we have 2 really interesting quest talents. It's going to be the Wizened Duelist and the Master's Touch. I guess the Master's Touch is not that interesting as Medivh, that's our standard, but we've got to be keeping an eye on how fast that's going to be accumulated. And with the gap closing, the Tyrael with the Sanctification, and so much, mobility and invulnerability, that Wizened Duelist, if he gets many stacks, Chris is going to be chunking Team 12's backline. And we're already fearful of the Kharazim's health pool.
We are indeed. Team 12 first to rock up on the scene. And it looks as though Zealots, they're not happy with trying to contest this one. They figured that we're going to be late to the rotation. We're going to let this one go. But the next one, now this adds some pressure on them. They have to fight for that next one.
This is a bit of a, I want to say it's an old school strategy, but wait a minute. Mopsio going to get body blocked. That should be a kill here. Great use there from Justin, but he took too much damage from the turret. Tyrael passive is enough. They end up getting the counter kill there with the explosion. Very well done.
Crowd going wild for that one. You could hear the applause.
What I was going to say is that the old school original, Cursed Hollow way back in beta strategy would be like, give up the first 2, who cares? As long as we win an experience, especially as hard as Zealots has, if you get that 10 spike, it's going to round around this third tribute, or it used to be able to with the timing. Not going to be the case here for Zealots, but if you can just stall it out, you get the 10, there's no way you're going to contest. That's when we see the bosses. That's when we really see, the slow play pay off on Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's something that I guess when you do have a composition that can wave clear as fast as Zealots does, you don't really mind about those tributes because you've got that ulterior motive. And I mean, that's also a strategy that we see on some other maps. You let up the sort of early objectives, but you focus on getting level 10 first.
Goku ended up using the Brush Dog to join in here. Portal's been laid by ADRD, but it looks like he's going to get the retreat. Falstad is going to go ahead and fly towards the top lane. as the Giants pressuring out towards bottom. I thought for sure we would see the global maybe put more emphasis there, and great job by Zealots. Not only are they backing out to be able to start this boss and get the tribute for themselves, but the fact that they feign the rotation with the Karazim Blaze towards bottom, it's choking off the Giants that they knew somebody had to respond to, and it provided free information just to be able to start this boss. It's just cleverly done here. They're literally getting as much as they possibly can on the map with this 10 advantage. The opposite of what we saw in Volskaya, for instance, with their 4-level lead.
That's some great shot calling coming out, and I mean, you really need to respect that macro play that they're starting to utilize. Blaze as well, trying to get maximum value. Keep Dahaka tied up in that bottom lane. Now that the boss has been taken, you can already see Team 12. They're trying to figure out, what do we respond to now?
It's an interesting position to be in because, Polymorph is going to be used. 7-sided strike drop. Cure makes it out. Ends up, being a little bit too close to Buds and convert him over to the little sheep, but they're going to be fine. Giants are going to deal with the boss on top as Falstad is whittling away at it. We'll see if Dansky's going to go ahead and start his flight. He will. Not going to make it all the way down, but pretty close. He shows himself through mid, so Zealots know this is a slow rotation. They're going to get aggressive. Jet propulsion. The oil spill is there. They're going to get aggressive. Not a kill yet. They're just trying to get the retreat. The gust. I can't believe it waited that long. The sanctification used did make it difficult to drag their pulse bomb. Going to be deterred by a great shield coming out from ADRD. No portal is going to be necessary to get the retreat, at least not yet. And I mean, what do you do to that? Zealots are winning up with the Giants on top. We didn't see Falstad be able to get the entire split push that we normally see with these tributes and everything of the like. They get the kills, and now they're even in tributes. This was slow play really paying off for Zealots.
They had, once again, the hindsight to think about the late game, and another kill being picked up here by Zealots. They're showing no signs of stopping, securing that fort in the bottom lane as well. Eyes will now be on that bottom boss.
The top Giants are going to be something that might be able to draw aggro for Zealots here. The next tribute is going to be kind of rounding, since both teams are, we got a 1-level lead difference between the two, and that it's only 1 full level necessary for Zealots in this circumstance. I think it's probably realistic for them to find themselves in a situation to round the curse as the 13 spike is there. And so it's an interesting conundrum because double global has died a little bit in the modern day meta. And into a map like Curse Hollow, if you don't think your opponent can siege or get too much out of the siege itself, you can use that double global to maybe soak the curse and be like, you know what, it's okay. Your curse is going to be less valuable than ours because globals on Curse Hollow with the actual curse itself is amazing. So I want to see, is Team 12 not willing to risk that disadvantage fight into this talent tier? Or are they going to or give up the tribute and play it slow? Or are they going to go, no, we need to take this fight. We need to force?
Like you said, there's just so many questions that Team 12 need to answer, and if they misstep that could be disastrous for them. That play now, though, on the boss, while that tribute's spawning, I'm not sure how I feel about this, Dre.
That's confident to say the least. Even though the night camp was just picked up about 8 seconds ago, it gave a little bit of information, but by no means would that rotation be too slow. ADRD, you see hovering up above the entire time. The information and pacing was clearly used there, and this is exactly what I was talking about. 13 hits, the curse is rounded, and what do we see Team 12 do? They back out and they rely on the double global. So this is very much relying on that, and this is calling out Zealots and saying you're not going to get enough out of this as much as we will when we end up having our double global and having the curse itself. I feel like it's an optimistic perspective from Team 12. Zealots has looked very, very deadly, but again, the pressure is on Zealots here. They're going to start here with a polymorph on Dansky. Barrel roll. It's going to force the gust there. A lot of damage coming out from Shad and that Iron Fist, but not enough to gain a kill.
Forced to retreat now, and I mean, Zealots, they'll be looking to see how much they can get out of this push. As you said, Dahaka will be looking to soak, see how much experience he can get. But what I'm worried about now with this curse, Zealots, they're literally hammering on this keep now. If any kills go, Zealots are posed quite well to see if they can take out their core.
Once this gate drops, expect Zealots to get very, very aggressive. There's the portal. A lot of damage coming out. Mopsio got to lay down a smite and back out with that portal. There's no shrub here that easy, except for the night camp shrub for Dahaka to actually brush talk in. It's very predictable rotation if brush talk is going to be used to get this defense. Without the 13s, a free keep now here for Team 12, or for Zealots. And based on that kind of, question I was posing before on who's going to gain the most, does Zealots get enough? Very much so. With a 9-minute curse, they're able to start this boss. It feels like this might be biting off more than they can chew, because Team 12, they're looking to answer.
I mean, I do
Force
also...
the recall.
Forced recall, but I do like as well Team 12. They also disengaged. They didn't want to get caught out, didn't want to give too much away. This means now that they can contest with that boss with Sanctification,
That's way
opening
too
it
early.
up.
Gust is still available. There's no Sanctification to be able to deter this 7-sided strike, or excuse me, Twilight Dream goes down. Look at the damage out of that bunker. Justin gets jet propulsion. The boss, Gust, as you know, boss control available for either side. Now, ADRD moves up, and this looks like Zarmony is going to be able to zone off here with the team and get themselves the boss. Wow, how that fight unfolded. There was so much focus on those heroes with the boss control, who's able to force what cooldowns. That was very well done. But when it's all said and done, Zealots, that was, I feel like, the game losing decision making if they lose that fight. But because they were victorious in this, they now have got so much going for them. 16 talent tier, a boss, and likely a second keep behind.
Yeah, they don't get punished for it because they won it. And I feel like a key factor to them winning that fight, as you said, with the Sanctification and everything, the bunker being up, the bunker right there really helped them win that fight.
A lot of damage there onto Cure. Not enough to get a kill yet. The boss already making it to the keep. Justin, he wants to move up there. Polymorph is going to be used. Jet Propulsion goes into the backline and already kill the Falstad. Cure ends up using Dash 1, Howling Blast landing on the 4, but it's not going to be enough. Mopsio throws down the Smite, ADRD in the portal, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Zealots now march onto this core, and about 12 minutes in, it's going to be able to take it.
Very nice wrap, and I like the rhyme that you threw in as well. Zealots, they have taken this game right here with that boss.
You know, I wasn't going for the Rap God moment, but, you know, I'm glad that somebody took the appreciation there for the accidental rhyme through the ending there.
I thought